Fred Richani of TSC News here to recap WWE Monday Night Raw for April 11th, 2016. Do not adjust your screen right there because it is true. Our Raw main event was Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt taking on the League of Nations, a.k.a. the League of Geeks, a.k.a. the worst main event stable of all time, the League of Nations. Alberto Del Rio and Sheamus with Rusev at ringside. This matchup was set up when Roman Reigns cut yet another boring promo earlier in the night, came out, said, "I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm the guy." And the Los Angeles crowd at the Staples Center, where Kobe Bryant's going to have his final game, booed him. So what happens? They bring out the only team that will get booed more than Roman Reigns. Well, besides maybe the Ascension and a couple other geeks. The League of Nations. So the League of Nations come out. They have some really bad back and forth wooden dialogue. The highlight of this is Rusev saying that he's stronger than Roman. He's better than Roman. And he's better looking than Roman. And that was awesome. That was the highlight. Crowd was chanting CCC. No surprise. Alberto Del Rio worked for AAA. Worked for Lucha Underground, which films in SoCal. And, well, the last time I checked, SoCal's got a gigantic Hispanic population. So, no surprise there. A lot of CCC chants during the main event, during this promo segment. And I just thought to myself, man, oh man, how great would it be if they actually used Alberto Del Rio the right way? How great would it be if Alberto Del Rio right now was currently a top heel or a top babyface? Instead, he's with the geekiest stable of all time. At least on a main event level. I mean, the Social Outcasts are pretty bad, but I don't think anybody's ever going to see him in Raw or SmackDown main events. Ugh. Anyway, so that set up the League of Nations coming out, trying to attack Roman Reigns, and then the Wyatt family took him out, and Shane McMahon said, you know what? I like this. I never thought I'd see Bray and Roman alongside each other. We're booking this match tonight. And in the main event, Bray and Roman got the win. Bray Wyatt hit the Sister Abigail on Alberto Del Rio. Roman Reigns hit a wicked spear on Sheamus. 1, 2, 3. And that was that. And if you're wondering why I said Shane McMahon, it's because Shane McMahon, inexplicably, or as WWE put it, due to overwhelming social media support, is back in charge of Raw for one night only. Again. Jesus, where was this overwhelming social media support when Zack Ryder needed it? He was in catering tonight. Oh, poor guy. You know, where was this overwhelming social media support when Daniel Bryan was trying to get over in 2010, right? Jeez. But yeah, due to overwhelming social media support, we had Shane McMahon back in charge. And Shane McMahon made some big McPlans. You see? He put together a tag team tournament, playa, which might as well be called the Teddy Long Memorial Tag Team Tournament. And Teddy Long's still alive, but still, you'll never forget the tag team match, playa. Those matches that he made back in the day in SmackDown. And if you're too young to understand what I'm saying, damn, I'm getting old. Kids, Google Teddy Long tag team match. That's all I gotta say. If you see a site that says XXX next to it, it's probably the wrong link. So just stick with YouTube, okay? Stick with YouTube. Anyway, he made a tag team tournament. The winners of this tournament over the course of this month would get a shot at the New Day for the tag titles at WWE Payback in May. So we had some matchups. They weren't all that great, but we had a very memorable debut. First off, we had the Dudley Boys, who not a lot of people care about, except for maybe their immediate family in Velvet Sky, taking on the Usos, who even less people care about right now. And I feel really bad for the Usos because they were a hot team last year, doing their thing. They had a lot of momentum, and unfortunately, one of the Usos, I think it was Jay or Jimmy, one of the two, got in. I can never tell them apart. They got injured. And they came back. I'm thinking, okay, they're going to be back at the tag team ladder. I know the New Day's technically on top right now, and they deserve to be there, but it'd be nice to see the New Day and Usos kind of go back and forth. They've had some good matches in the past, and the Usos were pretty over when they were protected, and instead they've just been beaten like drums. And I feel really bad for this team because they got their asses whooped over and over and over again. And and they're not even losing to Dudley's, just getting destroyed last week. But anyway, we'll get to the Usos in a second. So we had the Dudleys. We had the Lucha Dragons. Why are the Lucha Dragons still a tag team, even though Kalisto's the United States champion? I'm not really sure. I don't have as much of a problem with that, except for the fact that the Lucha Dragons lost to the Vaudevillains last week. The debut in Vaudevillains, by the way, on SmackDown. They had, almost said Eli Cottonwood, Aiden English. Jeez, I'm getting my past and present NXT stars mixed up. Anyway, I'm a fountain of useless information, so sometimes obscure characters come out of my mouth. But Aiden English, he pinned Kalisto last week, and I guarantee you Aiden English ain't getting a U.S. title shot anytime soon. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about Kalisto being U.S. champion. Maybe we will. But he unfortunately took a bad spill on the outside. I think he got clotheslined into the flip and landed right splat squadouche right on his face. He was down the rest of the match. I really think they should have just gone home and did the finish, had Sin Cara get 3D'd, and that's it. But no, they had to go on for another commercial break, came back, wrestled for a few more minutes, and then Team 3D hit the 3D. 1, 2, 3. They advance. Enzo and Cass interrupted. Once again, Enzo and Cass did not wrestle on Raw. They do wrestle on SmackDown against the Ascension, but they appeared on Raw in their gear. I mean, Enzo's gear is, it's not really gear. But Cass had his big Cass undies on, where if you see the C obscured, it actually looks like it says big ass on his crotch, which is a little weird, but whatever. Maybe that's a nickname for, his third leg. I don't know. And, yeah, they talked some smack. They got a good reaction. Not as good as last week, but still, pretty good reaction. Had some pretty good verbal barbs. How you doing? Went to the back, and that was that. We had the Usos take on the Social Outcasts. Curtis Axel, I used to say this on some of the older shows. When he used to come out, he would, I don't know if he's a Cam Newton fan or a Superman fan or both, or maybe he was just oblivious to who actually does that Superman pose very well, where, he used to come out and do this, like what Cam Newton does when he scores touchdowns. For those who don't know, he's an American football quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, just played for the Super Bowl. He'll score touchdowns and he'll do, like revealing the S, for the Superman. Like the old song, I walk around like I got an S on my chest. So yeah, he used to do that. And I thought, man, Cam Newton doing this, it's awesome. Cam Newton's just full of swag. He's like Nakamura, man. He's got all this swag. When Curtis Axel does it, he's like the whitest man alive. So after all these years of Curtis Axel being dormant in the whitest man alive category, he finally busts, and he's been wearing these for a couple weeks now, but it was never more glaring, never more apparent to me than tonight that Curtis Axel is officially the most Caucasian man alive with these jorts, these black jorts. And I'm not saying I want to see Curtis Axel in Speedos. I'm not saying I want to see Curtis Axel in anything. Well, I wouldn't want to see him in something. I don't want to see him in a thong or anything like that, but I'm just saying, jorts? Like Cena, all right, that's his thing, but Curtis Axel? Man. Say what you want about the Social Outcasts, but at least 3 out of the 4 have gear. Man. Yeah, so Curtis Axel once again reclaims the title of Whitest Man Alive, but more importantly, Social Outcasts were celebrating. They got distracted. Heath Slater got rolled up. Usos got the win. They advanced in the tournament. And then they cleaned house of the Social Outcasts. And who should show up but none other than the Bullet Club, rumored to possibly be called Bulletproof for the Balor Club, Doc Gallows, a.k.a. Luke Gallows, and Karl Anderson. And those guys both, and granted, they had tight shirts on and tight jeans on, so I didn't see with their shirts off, but aesthetically, they look in pretty damn good shape. It looks like these last couple of months, they've been really, really hitting the gym, trying to look good for WWE, that HD, trying to get that HD physique. And they look good tonight. Beating the hell out of the Usos, hit them with a double team finish. Bam! They made an impact. Some people claiming this was like Scott Hall invading WCW back in the day. Dude, it wasn't even in the ballpark. But this was a good debut. The announcers made them seem like a huge deal. Oh my God, that's Karl Anderson. That's Luke Gallows. It's cool Luke Gallows has his old WWE name back. It's cool Karl Anderson gets to keep his long-time wrestling name and Karl Anderson. And we'll see what happens. They bypassed NXT. I know Finn Balor's somewhere cuddling Bayley and going, are we ever going to get called up? I don't know. I don't know why Finn Balor hasn't been called up. I don't know why Triple H and Vince McMahon find it more important to keep Finn Balor at age 34, going on 35, as the face of NXT when it's a money loser, whether they do house show tours or not. And yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully we'll see him soon. Hopefully with Gallows and Anderson on the roster now, with AJ Styles at the moment being a babyface and probably not going to be aligned with them in the immediate future, that does leave an opening for Finn. It does, but we shall see. But that was memorable. It was very, very memorable. At the beginning of the show, Shane McMahon cut a promo. I forgot to mention this, and he talked about how wants to continue to bring change and all that, and is the crowd ready to have some fun? He made all these announcements, and he announced AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn tonight. And if Sami Zayn would beat AJ Styles, he'd get into the WWE Payback main event. So it'd be a triple threat: Reigns, Zayn, and Styles for a WWE title. Also, he made the matchup of Kevin Owens versus Cesaro. Winner gets an Intercontinental title shot against The Miz at WWE Payback. Poor Zack Ryder, the odd man out. This got put together when Kevin Owens actually interrupted Shane McMahon. And I thought Kevin Owens was going to take him out, but nope. Shane said, you know what? We're going to put you in a match. Deal with it. It's against Cesaro, the Swiss Superman. And those guys had one hell of a match. Only problem is, neither guy could really afford to lose. And I really didn't want to see Kevin Owens lose. I really didn't want to see Cesaro lose, but something had to give. And Cesaro ended up countering the pop-up powerbomb, hit the neutralizer for the clean pin, and it will be Cesaro versus The Miz at WWE Payback. And for Cesaro fans that are worried, much like myself, all I got to say is, if Cesaro's epic losing streak in singles title matches continues against The Miz of all people, my head's going to explode. I can understand a couple years ago, they didn't have him beat Dolph Ziggler. They didn't have him beat Sheamus, all right? And I really am liking The Miz's work. And he had a funny skit tonight with Maurice. But, hot damn. If they have The Miz beat Cesaro at Payback, yeah, I don't want to think about that. I do not want to think about that. So, anyway, that was a great match. Cesaro got the win. And then later in the show, we had AJ Styles take on Sami Zayn. I have no idea why this wasn't the main event. I have no idea why this wasn't saved for a future pay-per-view. They just threw this match with no build on free TV. But what a match it was. Great back-and-forth action. Couple minor complaints, though. Minor complaints. And this is just maybe some nitpicky stuff on my end. One, I feel like Sami Zayn can make the Blue Thunder Bomb into its own separate finish, besides the Haluva kick. So I would really like to see him actually win some matches with the Blue Thunder Bomb, and I would like to see people not kick out of the Blue Thunder Bomb. But it's AJ Styles, he's the number one contender for the world title. I'm not going to hate on that too much. Just personal preference. It's a cool looking move. One of the better moves he does. I'd like to see it be a finish. Number two. Before the match was over, there was a spot where I believe it was AJ was on the top rope. Zayn and AJ were up top, and if I'm mistaken, AJ went to do a somersault and then do like a roll, like what is it called? That flip power bomb, like when both guys are up top and like Zayn's like the one guy's looking to try to do a superplex, the other guy flips him over and does a power bomb instead. Well, that's what AJ tried to do. And I guess Zayn was supposed to land on his feet, but Zayn instead landed right on the top of his freaking head, immediately got up, So I don't know if it's just instinct or what, but I hope that he's not concussed or didn't suffer any kind of neck or head injury or whatever, but he landed right on his head. Got up immediately, went for the haluva kick, got blocked, got hit with the phenomenal forearm. 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles is still your number one contender. Sami Zayn will have to live to fight another day. Kevin Owens did not interfere because earlier in the night, he insulted Shane McMahon backstage, and Shane sent him home with security. Whew. Shane O'Mac ain't playing. But this was a great match. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I guess my second complaint, the reason I brought up that spot, besides the fact it was a notable spot where Zayn landed on his head, was just thinking, man, these guys are such great workers. They really are. And they know how to captivate a crowd, and they know how to do things at the right time. They don't need to take... look, there's some miscommunication there. There's some malfunction at the junction. And I'm not going to really put this on AJ as much as I'm going to put this on Zayn. Zayn's had a lot of injuries these last few years. He's been banged up these last few years. I know he's a great athlete. I know he's a great worker. I know he's badass in the ring and everything. And this applies to a lot of other guys similar to Zayn's style. Okay? Be careful in there. Okay? Be careful in there. I know it's the ring. Anything can happen. But man, if they just tone it down a little bit. Look, AJ's current finishers, his main ones, are a forearm and a calf crusher. A calf slicer, which is what they call it in jiu-jitsu. So, they're pretty effective. He's done a damn good job of getting him over. When he locks in that calf crusher, when he hits that phenomenal forearm, the fans are educated enough at this point to know it is going down. So, with Sami Zayn, I'd like to see him tone it down a little bit. Be a little bit careful. Just be, again, mistakes happen, crap happens, it was miscommunication. I just feel like, in recent years, especially the last year or so, I feel like just wacky things tend to happen to Sami Zayn. And granted, when he wrestled John Cena last year, I think he popped out his freaking shoulder making his entrance, just being all hyped up. But still, just take it a little easy. Far be it from me to tell Sami Zayn how to work. Just as a fan of his work, my Middle Eastern brother from another mother, for the sake of his health, and for the sake of a lot of guys' health, I would just like to see them kind of pull it back. Just pull it back just a little bit. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. If AJ Styles, okay, who doesn't have size on his side, okay, who doesn't have the best mic skills on his side, if AJ Styles can get over a flying forearm and a calf crusher, then you know what? You could take it a little easy. That's all I'm saying. I speak with love. And then we had a damn good match between Natalya and Charlotte for the Women's Championship. Again, just thrown together, no real build. And this was a great match. Natalya was amazing. And no disrespect to Charlotte, she did okay, but this was the Natalya show. The crowd gave 0 Fs about this match when both women came out. They saw the Dr. Phil skit earlier. Dr. Phil was actually the guest host, believe it or not. And he tried to consult Charlotte and say that, hey, Ric Flair's holding you down. You could do better. You don't need your father to win all these matches. And he actually cut a better promo than 80% of the roster. It was incredible. So Dr. Phil comes out, sat at ringside, was interviewed by Byron Saxton for a little bit. And then we had this match. And the crowd did not care at first. And Natalya made this crowd care. And by the end of the match, the crowd was in the palm of her hand. She locked in that sharpshooter. There were a lot of near falls in this match. And Charlotte was about to tap. But what happens? Ric Flair pulls the referee out of the ring. But Charlotte taps as he pulls out the referee. So the referee sees she taps. So Natalya wins, but by disqualification. And the reason I hate this cheap finish, even though this was thrown together on TV with no build, is because of the fact that here we have the Women's Championship, the Women's Division. Ding dong, the Divas are dead. You want this to be taken seriously. I don't even mind that Charlotte cheats to win. But if you're emphasizing the women's division featuring women and the champion needs a man's help to win, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of that. I'm just not. Okay? I'm just not. The Ric Flair thing was cute, whatever, but they sure wrote him off at WrestleMania or right after WrestleMania. And what's the point of having Dr. Phil out there? And go kudos to Dr. Phil. He was really well spoken. He was harmless in his appearances. You know, he wasn't overbearing. He seemed like he was legitimately having a good time. And he even put over the women strong afterwards and said, you know, I would really like to see Charlotte actually win matches on her own, but you know, I love what WWE's doing with the women's division. It's tremendous and it's empowering women. It was very nice, very respectful. But you have Dr. Phil there. Now, maybe he rejected this. I do not know. But let's just assume that Dr. Phil was willing to throw a worked punch at Ric Flair, or at the very least, distract Ric Flair so he can't help his daughter. Okay? If he was willing to do this, why don't you do that? I'm not big on tomfoolery, and you know, I kind of groaned when Dr. Phil first came out because I thought he was going to interfere in that match. But if I knew they were going to have some foolishness like this, I would have rather had Dr. Phil just stop Ric Flair, have Natalya win the title, hold it until Payback. Charlotte could always regain the title, and there you go. And it just boggles my mind because, look, nothing against Charlotte. She seems like a sweetheart in real life. I'm really happy for her success, and she has improved in certain aspects. But when you watch this match, and yeah, I think about what Bret Hart said on his podcast, and I think he was a little too harsh on Charlotte, but he reviewed WrestleMania, and he talked about how, you know, Charlotte's really green still compared to the other girls, and one of the reasons she's in her spot, or I guess I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he sounded like he was insinuating, essentially she's there because she's a Flair. And, well, yeah, she looked okay tonight, but Natalya just blew her away. And, you know, I know they want to get over to the young girl. You know, Charlotte's only like 28, 29. Actually, I think she just turned 30. But she's still really young. And, you know, she is the future. And Natalya's getting older. But, man, I just look at this performance by Natalya, getting a crowd to not from a crowd not giving a damn about this match to making people believe and get excited for it. Oh, man, I mean, look, they should have had Sasha Banks win the title at WrestleMania. Would have been a star-making win. Would have been incredible, especially with the Snoop Dogg entrance and the Eddie Guerrero tights and everything else. They should have had Sasha Banks win. And, yeah, well, they didn't. And unless I'm mistaken, Sasha was nowhere to be found here. Neither was Becky. And I would have definitely given Natalya the title. You don't have to. In some ways, it doesn't make sense because he didn't give it to Sasha, but just seeing this performance by Natalya just made me think, damn, I wish they would have called an audible or something. Or hopefully down the road they do. Maybe they give it to Natalya. Maybe she'd have some great matches with a bunch of different women and then eventually take on Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and put over one of them strong and drop the title there. Because the one thing with Charlotte is she is a heel, but she is limited in the ring. Would you take away Ric Flair? On one hand, I think it would help her. It would help her because it would kind of take away that crutch and she'd have to kind of fend for herself. On the other hand, I think it might hurt her character. And if you put the belt on somebody like Natalya, who's a great worker, she can elevate, say, a Naomi or a Tamina to possibly a pretty good match. Or dare I say even a Lana or an Ava Marie. What I'm saying is you have a girl like Natalya as champion, or even in this case Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks. They can essentially work with all divas and elevate them from okay to decent to good. And if they're working with somebody just as good as them or near the level, to great. But we still got Charlotte. And nothing against her as a person or anything like that. But I just feel like a lot of people, especially people in wrestling, because it's Ric Flair's daughter and maybe they're friends of Ric Flair and they don't want to sound like they're hating on his daughter. I think a lot of them just kind of treat her with kids' gloves. You know what I mean? But the reality is this. She's an adult. She's a WWE superstar. She's a public figure. And the reality is that while she's been pretty good in her role, there are at least 3 women in that respective division, Natalya, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, who can probably do a hell of a lot better job as champion right now. Nothing against her. She's done all right. I'm happy for her, but, you know, facts are facts. That's all I got to say about that. As far as anything else goes, we had a couple vignettes for the Colognes, Eddie Colon, Primo Colon, or I guess he's still Epico Colon. They were in Puerto Rico. It was almost like a travel ad for Puerto Rico. They were putting over Puerto Rico, talking up themselves, and that was about it. Okay. So now there's a couple Puerto Rican dudes that put over their country. How original. How about you build up these two dudes that have been with your company for, I think Epico's been with the company for maybe 5 years now. Primo's got to have been there since, I think, he's got to have been there almost 10 years now. And you're telling me that after all these years, the best idea you could come up with for the Matadors is they're Puerto Rican and they like Puerto Rico. How about their family lineage? How about their history? You have Carlos Colon in the freaking Hall of Fame. Talk about their lineage. Talk about their history. Talk about the fact that they're former tag team champions. Talk about the fact that they're related to Carlito, a former Intercontinental and U.S. champion who beat John Cena in his debut. Talk about that? No. Let's just talk about Puerto Rico. If you're going to talk about Puerto Rico, then talk about the rich Puerto Rican wrestling history. Their dad owns a freaking promotion. Get some tapes. Something. Damn. You know, you could book a bunch of Hispanic dudes on the show, but unless you actually understand... Actually, it doesn't have to do with race. It's like, just common sense. Just common sense. And actually, in some ways, it does have to do with race. Because you can't just put a bunch of Puerto Rican dudes or Hispanic dudes on a card and expect to draw Hispanic fans. You got to cater to them. You got to know what they want. How many writers on this freaking show are Hispanic? Or black? Or women? I don't know. Probably not a lot. That's all I got to say. Probably not a lot. We had a Baron Corbin vignette. That was cool. It made him look significantly better than last week, where he cut a long, boring promo and then wrestled a competitive match with Dolph Ziggler that was only okay. And Dolph Ziggler usually has good matches, not okay matches. But this 2-minute video package made him look a lot better. And trying to see if there's anything else I missed on the show before we wrap it up. Oh, we had an awesome skit where Maurice was going off on a stage manager who tried to bring some water for the Miz and M&M's, and she said he's very specific. And then we had JoJo in her new blonde hair tried to interview the Miz. Miz had cucumbers on his eyes. He was resting. He ended up cutting a promo saying he was going to beat Cesaro, and he actually redid the promo thrice because Maurice was like, let's do it over. Take 1, take 2, take 3. It was awesome. It was pretty funny. And then Cesaro came in with the same earpiece that the station manager had, or the stage manager had, excuse me, with his nice suit. Said he was going to beat The Miz and take his role as WWE Intercontinental Champion. He put on the shades, walked away, and all I could think was, Vince McMahon, at one point or many points in time, found this guy boring. What is wrong with him? Man. And then Miz drank water, and I forgot what Maurice said. She said that it's not filtered or something like that, and Miz spit it out. I guess because he's one of those snobs that drinks Evian water. This is a great team. This is a great duo. I mean, they are married in real life, but as far as their wrestling characters goes, this is a great pairing. That being said, this guy has no business beating Cesaro at Payback. Whatsoever. Okay, we had Seth Green at ringside. I believe he produced Camp WWE, or whatever the hell it's called, that probably 5 people are going to watch. Oh yeah, how could I forget? We have the highlight reel with Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose interrupted Jericho, who was interviewing himself, and he said that this show is over. It's now the Ambrose Asylum, and apparently Shane McMahon wrote down on a raggedy piece of paper that the highlight reel has been canceled. So Ambrose tried to interview Jericho, hit him with the dirty deeds. It was a very lukewarm reaction, and all I could think was, man, they really killed this guy. This guy was hot just a couple months ago, and they beat him and beat him and beat him and beat him. And what happens when you have a potential top babyface being beaten over and over again like a drum, made to look like an idiot? Well, you have what Dean Ambrose is now. I don't want to say just the guy, but somebody that's certainly treading water in terms of being on that upper mid-card level, if there even is an upper mid-card in this day and age in WWE, to that kind of mid-card, totally get lost in the shuffle level. But I'm assuming he's feuding with Jericho so he could get a win. I'm assuming. And actually, that's my fear with AJ Styles. I love the fact AJ Styles is getting the spotlight. I love the fact that the announcers put Zayn and AJ over. After the match, these guys embraced backstage. Shane McMahon put him over on the air. And Michael Cole said for years, people wondered how these guys would fare in WWE. But it's safe to say after tonight, they truly belong on Monday Night Raw, and they truly are the best in the world, which is very awesome. Really awesome thing to say. I'm assuming Vince McMahon fed them that line. Amazing how Vince McMahon can be the same guy that books WrestleMania and this Raw, which is pretty damn good. But I'm just afraid that AJ is going to lose to Roman Reigns, which is expected, and then he's going to become just another guy. Roman got booed tonight. Roman got booed vociferously. And if you want to turn him heel, that's fine. But as I've said before, you still need a top babyface. And what I'm about to suggest, I do not think they're going to do whatsoever, and it pisses me off that they're not going to do it. It pisses me off that they're not open-minded enough to do it, okay? At least not at this point in time. I would give AJ the title. I would read the tea leaves and I'd say, we got to make a new star. AJ, yeah, he's lost a couple times, which sucked and was unnecessary, but he hasn't been totally used and abused like all these other guys on our roster. He's still relatively new. He's got a very loyal fan base. Hell, he sold out of his freaking gloves within a couple days on WWE Shop. Lord knows how many t-shirts and hats he's selling. He's clearly a merchandise seller. He's clearly some type of draw. He's clearly got the internet buzzing since he debuted in WWE. Why not give him the title? Why not try to run with him? All right, he's not great on the mic. You know who else isn't great on the mic? Roman Reigns. You know who's getting more cheers than Roman Reigns and having better matches than Roman Reigns and is a significantly better worker than Roman Reigns and is a guy that killed it at the Tokyo Dome, unlike Roman Reigns? AJ freaking Styles. And if they had any balls, all right, and let's face it, even if they gave AJ the title, would it change things overnight? No. Hell, you could even give the title to Sheamus for the time being, and ratings might tank again. But it's not going to totally kill WWE because the brand is so strong. This I feel like in this era, especially this time right now, the title means so little compared to their brand, which is very unfortunate. I hope it gets to a point where, yeah, the brand's strong and everything, and the brand can sell itself, but you have the title and you have the person holding the title and the people challenging for the title propping up the brand even more. Like the Rock and Wrestling era and the Attitude era, and even just, maybe a decade ago with John Cena. But yeah, I would love to see them show some guts and give AJ the title, much like New Japan did in AJ's debut. Now, this isn't AJ's debut, but this is his first pay-per-view main event for WWE, his first title shot. It would be great to see him win the title. Now, with New Japan, even though they gave him the title on his debut, he did have help from the Bullet Club. And you could do that, or you could just have AJ win. Maybe have somebody interfere against Roman Reigns that isn't necessarily associated with AJ, whatever. But I just feel like it'd be a really cool moment. It'd be something that people would get caught off guard by, but in a good way. And if you actually were, dare I say, willing to protect this guy up to, say, SummerSlam or Night of Champions, and maybe have him wrestle Seth Rollins when he comes back, or John Cena, I think that'd be a great dream match. I think it'd be pretty freaking awesome. But you know what they're going to do. They're going to beat AJ. He's going to run the risk of being just another guy because they're going to get comfortable with beating him. He may get a Daniel Bryan title reign for 1 day or 5 minutes and then get cashed in on. Or he'll get a Rey Mysterio title reign where he'll get to hold the title for a month or a few months and get beaten like a drum. But a man can dream. A man can dream. And if you're looking at this objectively, forget this stupid thing that people have about... People always talk about internet fans. Like, oh, these internet fans want to see their favorites. We're all on the internet, you idiots. Okay? We're all on the internet. And for those that talk trash about AJ, nobody knows who he is, and nobody watches TNA and ROH in New Japan, well, yeah, he's gone over to a lot of new fans, but he's also proven that he was pretty well known by a lot of fans as well. So I would give him the title. Will they? No, I don't think so. Not yet, anyway. Maybe there's a brand split or something like that. Who knows? But right now, I don't think so. Also, the Authority, not on the show again. So maybe they'll take over SmackDown. Maybe they'll just come back and bore us to tears again. Speaking of SmackDown, we have not one but two matches advertised by Bootios, making sure you ain't booty. We have Enzo Amore and Big Cass taking on the Ascension in an NXT 2013 special. And we have the Vaudevillains taking on Golden Truth. I'm assuming the Vaudevillains are going to win this one. But if you're going to put Goldust and R-Truth together, why have all these skits with them only for them to just be the same old job guys they have been the last year? Makes no sense to me. Makes absolutely no sense to me. We had, and I believe I missed one more match. We had Apollo Crews defeat Adam Rose. Adam Rose physically looking pretty good, although his character is practically nothing right now and nobody really cares for him, which is unfortunate. But Apollo Crews got the win. Nice to see him get the win. 3-0 in WWE so far. Let's hope he stays undefeated for a while. I really like Apollo Crews. He's a great athlete, damn good worker, but I do feel like he needs to improve on his promos. He got progressively worse in NXT. I noticed. I mean, when he first started, he came off as a likable, genuine guy and everything, doing these cool moves. And then after a while, I mean, he was still awesome in the ring, and he still is now. But I just felt like whatever it is with his personality just came off, I don't know if faker's the right word, too homogenized. It's a WWE scripted promo environment. I don't necessarily blame him, but I think he's going to need to have a bit of an edge, if he wants to continue to go forward. He could be a smiling babyface. He could do a lot of cool moves, and he does have phenomenal athleticism and a great physique. But you know who else has a great physique and phenomenal athleticism? Neville. You know who else can do cool moves? A lot of guys in WWE right now. So it would be really nice for them to kind of do a personality piece like they did with Apollo Crews when he first debuted last year. Do that on Monday Night Raw and just kind of have him be real. Don't have him. Don't have him be this geek. Like when he went up to Finn Balor and said something about like, oh, I don't need a title shot. I want non-title. Like, what kind of geek would really say that? You know what I mean? Well, I guess a geek would, but what kind of dude would really say that he was trying to win a title? You know what I mean? Just script him like a real dude. I guess you could say that for everybody on the roster. But this guy's special. He really is, and I hope that they don't mess it up with him because he's damn good. So I think that's all we had for this week. I'm trying to see if there's anything else as far as Raw goes that I may or may not have missed. Going through my notes here. Looks all right. So if I missed anything, I'll point it out in the comments. I'll make an annotation, or I'll just talk about it in my next video blog, which may be probably not Tuesday night because SmackDown's taping late because they're taping on the West Coast. But perhaps Wednesday, once we get the SmackDown spoilers in, I could talk a little bit more about that. As far as just a couple quick wrestling notes, major spoiler alert, according to WrestlingObserver.com, Lucha Underground, I think in Season 3 in 2017, has Sexy Star, of all people, winning in Aztec Warfare, that's their version of the Royal Rumble, to win the Lucha Underground title. Now, granted, she did not pin Matanza, who is the resident monster of Lucha Underground. I believe he was pinned by Rey Mysterio, but she still won the match and won the title. And then she subsequently lost it on the next set of tapings. And all I gotta say is I'm a fan of Lucha Underground. I enjoy their show. But Jesus, the men versus woman violence sucks. If they did just some grappling with women and whatever, and not some stupid spots where Taya Valkyrie gets suplexed on the freaking floor, that I might be remotely okay with it. But come on, man, and just get in the game. It's freaking 2016, going into 2017. What are you doing? And with Sexy Star, this has nothing to do with sexism or anything like that. I think it's just stupid. One is it's not believable. Two, it's Sexy Star. And if you don't know who Sexy Star is, I'm sorry. I don't think she's that good at all in the ring. She's not a great character. She's just not that good. You know, she's a good-looking chick with a mask who can do some cool moves. She's not Asuka. She's not... I'm trying to think of some good female workers. But she's not like Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks. And even them, if they were to challenge for a heavyweight title against a monster, you know, a male monster or even a female monster, would be somewhat unbelievable. So yeah, that to me is really lame, and not really a fan of how they handled that. But they want to do that. They think it's brilliant that men are wrestling women. Well, there's a reason WWE's not doing that, and there's a reason TNA hasn't been allowed to do that on any network they've been on. But hey, it's Lucha Underground. They're doing 150 to 200,000 viewers a week. They're doing great. You know, yeah, doing great. Speaking of doing great, TNA. As you guys may have heard, I talked about on the Raw pre-show before this report went out that I had a buddy of mine who used to work for TNA that said they were moving out of their Nashville offices because things were getting a bit pricey. Oops, almost lost my cell phone there. Things were getting a bit pricey. Okay, whatever. Rent's expensive. I understand that. However, what my friend didn't tell me was what PW Insider, reported, which is that they're moving from their office to a warehouse. And if you go on @Sports Courier, our Twitter page, you'll be able to see photos of this warehouse retweeted, which were photos taken from Google Earth, Google Maps. A warehouse. The ShopTNA.com warehouse, mind you. Yeah, TNA's in some rough shape. They're losing viewers. I believe they lost their Impact Replay. And yeah, things ain't looking good. And for all the wrestlers and some of the people that are saying, oh, people want TNA to go out of business. How dare you fans criticize TNA? Brothers, they lost their goodwill years ago. Burying certain guys. Booking stupid stipulations. Not paying off storylines. Screwing over fans. Being complete dicks in some ways. Okay, pardon my French. You're going to defend TNA when they publicly buried AJ Styles and Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson and tried to get their WWE deals like reneged? I mean, really? Really? You're going to defend them? Okay, I don't wish TNA to go out of business. Memo to these dudes. I have friends in TNA as well. Well, I did have friends. A lot of them left TNA and went to do bigger and better things. But I still got a couple friends there. And I still have friends who have friends there. Friends that used to work there who know a lot of people there. And yes, I don't want to see people lose their jobs. I do not. Okay? I do not. But when you ain't getting paid, allegedly, when you're losing money, when you have to move from your office space in beautiful Nashville to a warehouse where you're getting these ratings that are tanking, when you're Drew Galloway that's been killing it, a.k.a. Drew McIntyre, that's been killing it all over the world the last couple of years since getting released by WWE, yet nobody cares that you're TNA champion? I'm sorry. Stick a fork in them. If they go out of business, I'm gonna feel bad for a lot of the wrestlers that don't have work, that don't have TV exposure. But the brutal, honest-to-God truth is, a lot of these guys are not getting paid all that much anyway, if they're even lucky enough to get paid. Easier said than done to find a job, whether it's in wrestling, production, whatever. Believe me, I know. It's a tough business. You know, media and you know, TV, radio, all this, it's tough as hell, believe me. I know firsthand. But chances are all these guys aren't making a lot of money anyway right now, so you know, it never helps that a wrestling promotion goes out of business. I hope it doesn't go out of business. But, you know, it's almost like in some ways this company just needs a mercy killing. It really is. But I wish them the best. Again, I still have a couple friends that work there. So I want people to say, oh, you want them to go out of business and blah, blah, blah. Like, shut up. Okay? Shut up. If you don't understand why people don't care about TNA. You know what? Here's the state of TNA. TNA has fallen to such depths of irrelevant hell that I don't even think people care whether they stay in business or not, which is not what I could say a couple years ago when they're still on Spike. It is what it is. But folks, I'm going to get on out of here. I hope you enjoyed this Raw recap and this quick pro wrestling news update. If you did, please click the like button. Please share this with all your friends. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't mind me. I'm just checking to see if there's anything else I missed. Nope, that's about it. So as of right now, the WWE Payback card looks to be Reigns versus AJ Styles, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, and Jericho versus Ambrose. Not bad. Not bad. And Charlotte versus Natalya. Not bad at all. But again, I want to hear from you. Let me know. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this podcast, please click the subscribe button for more WWE updates. Feel free to browse around my channel right here, TSC News. We not only have recap shows all throughout the week, but if you check our interviews playlist, we have exclusive interviews with your favorite stars like Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, Mick Foley, Gail Kim, Edge. The list goes on. Excuse me. Starting to lose my voice here. The list goes on and on and on and on. So what the hell are you waiting for? Until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the matches. And also, please feel free to check out my video game channel, youtube.com/TSC Gaming. Shout out to the Bullet Club.